The first method I can think of is to navigate to another page on success or display a dialog on failure in a function in ChangeNotifier. However, navigation and show dialog functions require context, so you need to pass the context in addition to the search term to the getResult function of ChangeNotifier. We will add the build context argument to the getResult function, and the material package is required to use build context. To use the auto-import function, I will erase t of the build context and then enter t again. Go to main, add a context argument to the getResult function, and comment the code that displays navigation and dialog within the build function. Next, paste the code moving to success page in the try block of App Provider and import success page using the auto import function. And then paste the show dialog function in the catch block. Let's run it after a hard restart. First, let's enter ABC. I have successfully moved to success page. Now let's input fail. The dialog is displayed normally. There is no problem when tapping the outer part. But now, App Provider has a lot of information related to UI. First, it needs to import the build context, and second, it needs to import the screen you move to in navigator.push. In other words, the boundary between the provider and the UI is not clear and is mixed up. If other developers are looking at the code for the first time, it can be difficult to find out where the navigation takes place and where the dialog is displayed. However, if a package like get is used, there is no need to pass the build context as a function argument because navigation or dialog can be displayed without context. So the problem can be alleviated. But the problem of mixing UI and business logic still remains. And I will not separately handle how to use packages like get in this app. If you read the manual a little bit, I think there will be no problem in using it because it is quite straightforward. I will revert all of the methods of passing build context to the provider to its original state. The next method I want to use is to use ChangeNotifier's addListener. ChangeNotifier's addListener function registers a void type callback that is always executed when notifier listeners is called. Let's create a void type function called addListener to register in addListener. However, since we need to check app state in addListener, we need the instance of App Provider. So we declare the App Provider type late final variable appprov. Next, in the initState function, read the instance of App Provider using context.read. Store it in the appprov variable and raise the addListener in the addListener function of appprov. The addListener function navigates to success page if appprov.state is appstate.success and displays an error dialog if appprov.state is appstate.error. And since the addListener is not automatically disposed, dispose is done by using the removeListener function of appprov in the dispose method of stateful widget. Let's do a hard restart, then run it. First, let's enter ABC. I have successfully moved to the success page. Next, I'll type fail. The dialog was displayed normally, and there is no problem when I tap the outer side or tap the text field again. Let's summarize. Handling action such as displaying a dialog or navigating to another page when the state value changes requires some attention. We looked at 3 methods. Let's review each case assuming that a dialog is displayed when an error occurs. The first option is to display a dialog when an error occurs in ChangeNotifier. However, a disadvantage is that the business logic and UI are not clearly distinguished. The second option is an imperative method of displaying a dialog in the function where the action was triggered. The third option is a declarative method handled by addListener of ChangeNotifier. However, it is required to create boilerplate code such as registering and dispose of listeners. In addition, you should be cautious to the cases where the listener in the program logic is not properly disposed, and several listeners performing the same action are registered. I mostly use the second and third options. This concludes the overview section and moves to the To-Do app.